Kevin Broughton coming at you from both Success Mortgage Partners and our social media platform, Success Unlimited. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I refer to as the foundation of freedom. It's part of our sales series, and I hope like heck you tune in, and I hope to bring some value to you over the next couple of minutes. But about 10 years ago, I kind of started on my journey of building my foundation of freedom. And I probably am like very many salespeople in this country, in the mortgage industry, that I didn't really have a lot of freedom. I had some monetary success, I did okay, pretty good at sales, but I never really caught that freedom part. And that all changed starting about 10 years ago. I was very lucky to meet two important people in my life about a decade ago. The first being Scott Hudspeth, a resident at the time of Kalamazoo, Michigan, and he quickly introduced me to his business partner, a guy by the name of Carl White down in the Tampa, Florida area. On my first visit to Tampa, I was lucky enough to attend a session, and I heard of something that Carl referred to as the Triad of Awesomeness. And up till that point, I had never heard of that. I had no idea what he was talking about, but immediately something clicked in my brain, and it reminded me of a book that I had read, which I love, called Good to Great by the famous author Jim Collins. In this book and in Carl's seminar, I was reminded about this triad, and I was forced to write 3 circles. And the 3 circles represented 3 questions. And those questions were, what can I be the best at? What do I love? And what drives my economic engine? And the purpose of the exercise was to fill in words in those 3 questions and 3 circles. And at some point, the 3 circles intersected in the middle. The entire point of the exercise was to identify what you were great at, what you loved doing, and what drove your economic engine or made you money, and to spend 90+% of your work hours only in those areas. That is way harder than people think. And at the time, unbeknownst to me, I was spending somewhere between 10 and 15% of my work hours in those 3 areas, and 80 to 85 to 90% of the rest of the time I was not spending in those areas. Something that day when I kind of introspectively looked at that clicked and said, wow, this is why I don't have any freedom. This is why I haven't reached the success levels I was hoping for. And if I could operate 90+% of my work hours in the areas that doing things exclusively that I loved, that I was great at, and that made me money, I think I'd be happier. I think I would have more freedom. I started on that path and found that it's harder to do than I thought. I thought it was flip a switch, all of a sudden, bam, everything's perfect, and you just do those 3 things, but didn't work out that way. So what I did, and I was made to do, which I thought was a little strange at the time, but I had to carry around a yellow pad, and I had to write down every single thing I did for 15 consecutive business days. That's 3 weeks, from 7:30 in the morning, which is when I start my day, to about 5:30 in the evening, which is when I typically end my day. I had to write down every single thing I did, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks on a yellow pad, and I had multiple pages filled out at the end of the 3 weeks. I had 87 things on my list, and at the end of the 3 weeks, I was told to grab a green highlighter and to highlight only the things on those lists out of the 87 that I loved, that I was great at, and that made me money. And I only highlighted 5 tasks out of 87. So that meant 82 of the 87 things I did not either love, I was not great at, or they did not drive my economic engine. And there within lied the problem. And so I started on a journey at that point to eradicate that from my business and to find a way to only work on those 5 things, just to do them way more often. At the time, I didn't have any resources. And so stopping doing things that didn't meet the 3-box criteria was hard to do. But over the years, I was able to do it. And I can tell you now that I do spend 90% of my working hours only doing things that I love, that I'm great at, and that drive my economic engine. And I have found more than anything else in my business, it was that principle and the adherence to that principle and the creation of that reality in my life that led me to a level of freedom that I honestly didn't feel was available in the mortgage industry as little as 5-ish years ago. It doesn't mean your life gets perfect. It doesn't mean you don't have bad days. It doesn't mean things don't go wrong. It doesn't mean any of those things. But I can tell you that I believe there's a direct correlation between your level of freedom and happiness and your results. And I have seen many people over the last 10 years specifically who have implemented this type of a strategy into their life, and their sales have increased exponentially. It's not even close to what they were doing. I think about a friend of mine right now as I'm recording this video that the day I met her was closing approximately 3 to 4 units a month, and last month she closed 35 units. I talked to her recently and I was thinking about the level of freedom she has today versus what she had 5 years ago, and it's not even close. And I know for a fact that she's implemented some of the things that we talked about on the last video. She implemented discipline in her life. She implemented a to-do list every day, and she's built some foundational building blocks to get to a life of freedom. And that's been really fun for me to watch. It's come true to some extent in my life, and I believe it's available to every single person in our industry that's out there in a selling situation. Like I said, I don't think it's easy, and I don't think it happens overnight, but I do think it can happen. I do know for a fact that if you implement these strategies, that it will happen in your life if that's important to you. So if building a life of freedom as the foundation is important to you, I highly recommend that you tune into this series. We're going to try to bring on a regular basis different tools, tips, and strategies that will allow you to get to that freedom level. I think you'll be happy in your life. I think you'll be of high use to others in your life. And at the end of the day, I think you'll build a successful business that's repeatable and sustainable. And I'm excited that you tuned in today. So thanks so much. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon.